All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Cinderfall Gaming. I hope you're all doing well. Hope everyone's staying safe, and most of all, I hope everyone is fighting that war against the grey. Thank you for coming and joining us. A little impromptu, I guess, hobby hangout tonight because we hit 3,000 subscribers today, which is pretty awesome. So, thought I'd come and hobby and chat with people tonight.
We hit 3,000 subscribers,
and that was my own phone going off. Just jumping on. Anyway, awkward. Hope everyone's doing well. Let us know what you have been working on. Finishing up some Free Guild Guard for my Cities of Sigma, not Cities of Sigma, my Stormcast Eternals. See there's 30 Liberators, another 30 Liberators. They just got to be based, and they are done. Yes, I'm running the 60 Liberator bomb list. So they're probably a much more defensive army than what I guess most people are thinking it will be. So, yeah, that's what I'm working on. What is everyone working on that's watching? If you're watching, let us know where you're watching from. Sound out in the comments. I'm going for like a sort of magpie-ish teal, blue, and grey sort of feathers. Nick Yates, yeah, never too many Sigmarines, especially when they're painted like Ultramarines, because that is how I paint my Stormcast. And yes, it is entirely intentional that they are the Ultramarines color scheme. But because I'm using Stormkeeps, I can take 1 in 4 units as a Cities of Sigma. So I've got a unit of Free Guild Guard, which just rounds out my army. So Big Voss should be finishing off Eltharion. I have an Eltharion that needs to be painted, but put up a poll on what people want me to work on and get done for the channel next. And Living Cities, Cities of Sigma 1, so you'll be seeing a lot of Wanderers. I've got 60 odd Wildwood Rangers that need to be painted up, along with like a Durthu and some Sylvaneth models and a couple of bits and pieces for a Living City army. So yeah, so that'll be next. And then obviously the 24-hour challenge that I've got planned. Wolf Paws, thank you very much just for dropping in for even a little bit, mate. Much appreciated. Have a good night, buddy. But yeah, so 24-hour hobby hangout. People voted for 2,000 points of Stormcast. I had 2,000 points of Stormcast beat out Archaon, Just, and Marathi, and 3 Thundertusks. So it'll be a 2,000 point Stormcast force. I put up all the chambers to see which one people want me to paint. And I think at the moment, Vanguard Auxiliary is winning just over Sacrosanct. So that is how we're going to be going there. But, I've also got Silver Tower. Will probably just be the next little like break up. Just getting characters ready so I can do a playthrough of that for everyone. Nice, 9 Evocators and Dracolines. I've got some Evocators and Dracolines over there. They need to be built. Received them for a Kris Kringle thing the other year, and I still haven't, like, not this Christmas past, the Christmas before I received them, and I still haven't actually built them. So That happens a lot. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't get built. But we slowly work through our back catalogue. And the better and better the channel does, the more and more I can work through stuff, really. Yeah, they've just sat there. There's things that have been there way too long. I mean, most of these liberators are AOS 1 liberators, so like these are the starter set liberators, a ton of them. Not all of them, probably. In fact, probably most of them aren't from that starter set. I did have 10 painted liberators before this, but just building up the channels allowed me to focus on painting a lot of stuff. It's sort of giving me the spur to paint a lot of stuff. So. The channel keeps me honest. And having an event like SAGT just around the corner has really helped because it's meant I got this 2,000 point army painted up from no models in the army were painted. It's like about 80, well, no, more than that. Probably about 90 models painted up here. What is it, 60, 10, 12, so it's 82, 91, 90. What is it, 91, 97, 103 models painted up for the army, I think is the correct number. Yeah, 103 models. Cheers, Simon. I'm glad you found the channel and I'm glad you're enjoying it, mate. Everything's sort of like... Nick, as for the price of the latest Kill Team expansion, I mean, I'm not that in with the 40k knowledge, but I do know 40k has seen a price increase. I realize I'm pretty sure the Battle Force boxes were rather expensive as well compared to a lot of other things that have been released. It is pricey, there's no doubt about it. I'm not one to really complain about pricing. Like, I understand it's expensive. If it doesn't do well, GW will do one of a few things. So I'll either just go, well, Kill Team doesn't sell, so no point. Or they'll go, well, maybe it was too expensive. I don't know. Pricing's been weird because there's been kits that I think have been too expensive, like them. The Gargants were probably a little bit on the pricey side as well. But then we've also had kits where I was really surprised the other week that Glutos was only 190 AU. He was really cheap compared to what I thought. I was thinking 240 for him at least. So I don't really know what GW is doing with their pricing of late. Trying to find the paint I need. There it is. But yeah. I do have some 40k I've got to get painted. I've got an Eldar force there that's sitting on that table. I think it's a Crusade force, so it's enough to play Crusade with. So we'll get that painted up at some point. Yeah, definitely looking at getting into some 40k stuff in the future. I mean, that's just another thing to do for me. At the moment, it's blazing on AOS stuff. As I get into 40k, you'll see the same sort of things appear on the channel for 40k that I have for AOS. So a lot of beginner-friendly content is what I'll be aiming to do for 40k once I get into it. But I've got my local games night tomorrow night. We'll be taking down the Stormcast to play some practice games for SAGT, which will be a ton of fun. Go and see if people can kill Stormcast is effectively the aim of my game. Can you kill me quick enough? Yeah, AOS is definitely where my passion is. I'm much more a fantasy person than sci-fi, but I enjoy the spice. Variety is the spice of life, they say. So, the channel's doing really well, so it's getting to that point where I can start putting more time into the channel as it's starting to do better and better. Which in turn means more stuff for you guys, really. Yeah, and that's it. What is it? Kylan, thank you very much, man. Yeah, it literally was. So we only hit 2,000 on the 28th of Jan, so literally about 30 days, and we've hit another 1,000 mark. So the channel is growing rapidly, which is great. So Judas Varnus, awesome, man. Like, that's great. Like, I hope that I have maybe convinced you to go pick up some stuff. And like building models and painting models, you don't have to play the game. Like, building and painting is fun in its own right. Heck, you don't even have to build a paint. You could go do an RPG session like Soulbound, or one of the 40k ones they put out, or even Warhammer Fantasy RPG. They're all great fun to get into the universes. But I hope I've inspired you to maybe pick it up. Well, I'm glad you like Soulbound because I had the fortunate pleasure of being one of the playtesters for Soulbound. If you've got the book, you can go find my name in the playtesters section. I've got a copy of limited edition Soulbound just up there. So much fun. We should have our Soulbound game kicking back up in a month. Hopefully within the next month, I would say. Yeah, I'll be in the playtesters. I'm pretty sure I'm the last playtesters there. Stuff. Thank you very much, man. Very much appreciated for sneaking away and using your toilet break time to come say congrats. Thank you very much, mate. Just be sure you're not like, I don't know, any of you guys watch Viva the Dirt League, the New Zealand guys that do all the skits. The one where they put the cam in the toilet to catch people doing exactly what you're doing. It's funny. Viva the Dirt League, I love them. It's the guys who do like epic NPC man and stuff like that. I find them hilarious. So definitely give them a check out. They're fun. They're massive. They don't need me spruiking them. Alrighty. I think we're just about done with my free guild guard, really. I'm just gonna fix up this banner and the free guild guard will be done, and then we can move on to most of the last Gryph-hounds. And I've just got my last 3 Gryph-hounds to do, which I'm going to do all different because these are going to be my special ones. So I sort of split up my big unit of 6 into 2 color schemes, just sort of make them different. And I've got 3 other Gryph-hounds I'm going to try some different color schemes on, because these will be the 3 that the ones that like get spawned by my Castellan and Veritan. So I want these ones to be different to stand out. So they'll either all be the same color. Sorry, just responding to the wife. She's doing some baking tonight. So let's get some color on my brush. We'll get finishing this banner. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining and coming and saying hello. Who knows? Maybe in a month we'll be doing the 4K subscriber one. So who knows what the future holds? But yeah, more and more the channel grows, the more time I can spend on it, and well, becomes a thing. I mean, at the moment, it's doing pretty well. So it's growing and growing, which is always good, which is what you always want. Yeah, so anyway, we have a reveal show coming up this weekend as well. So we'll probably I'll be doing my normal live stream during the reveal show. So people can come and hobby and hang out for that. And yeah, same thing I've got to do every show I do. Special shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. You guys all rock. I do this every video because, I mean, they help a ton, help support the channel. As does everyone who watches. But yeah, shout out to everyone who supports on Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you so much. Anyway, enough spruiking them. Let's get back to chatting. So what are people's plans for hobby? What are you working on? What are you planning to be working on? You got some projects in mind? Let us know what you're doing. Yeah. Let us know what hobby you are up to. Oh, nice. And more pot. I've got one of those sitting on the shelf. I mean, I've got to paint up more ogres. I've got my Frost Lord and Hunter and some Frost Sabers painted up. I mean, that's why I had the 3 Thunder Tusks in the vote, but they did not win, so... more Stormcast it is. That's what won the vote. Painting Slaves to Darkness Dwarf Lord. That doesn't sort of, like, match the name there, buddy. Shouldn't you be painting dwarves? Or are you painting iron golems? In that case, that's okay because there is a dwarf in them. Finishing the last few models from your annual Halloween campaign. Nice. I mean, yeah, better late than never. Alrighty. So now we're just going to finish off all the little details on the top part of the banner. Yeah, Warcry is a fantastic way to get in to the hobby. Got a whole video on the channel about getting into Warcry, so you can definitely go give that a check out if you're really keen to get into the game. Warcry will be a lot cheaper. You can buy everything you need to play Warcry for cheaper than a starter army. That includes like terrain, everything. You can get all of that cheaper, like a whole table ready to play Warcry on, plus a warband. And probably a warband for a friend for cheaper than most AOS armies. Oh, nice. Character over warband for Warcry and Bugmanson. Nice. Have him on the shelf there as well that needs to get painted. There's a lot on the shelf that needs to get painted. You can see there's a Caradron army there as well. I've got a couple of airships and probably about 3,000 points worth of KO I need to paint up. Jerome, thank you very much, man. I hope so too. I mean, I think we're already up to like 3,020. So it's going up a lot. What are we at now? Yeah, 3,020. So we're 20 past that 3,000 mark anyway. We're no longer like teetering on it. So it's going good, man. It is going really good. Yeah, so people, let me know what you want to see on the channel going forward. I guess like everyone here watches the channel. What are you enjoying on the channel? What do you want to see more of on the channel? That would be from like Chronic and yeah. There's reasons I'm always tired. We'll go with that. Battle reports, awesome. Like we're always looking to improve upon the battle reports. Should hopefully see like a lot more narrative content battle reports on the channel going forward. Got my games club tomorrow night. I might record the games I play at my games club, but maybe it gets a bit noisy. It depends how noisy it gets there. Depends wherever I bother recording. But we'll start getting more battle reports happening soon. No, they've been a bit light in the past couple of weeks. Yeah, just looking for a nice bright green. Aegis Lanesh, you will get your wish, buddy, because that is actually something we're working on. What we want to do is we want to build a narrative on our channel. So we'll be starting with the Realm Gate Wars, and we'll be playing our way through Ages. And like sometimes you might see a battle report that's in the Realm Gate Wars. You might see a battle report that's in Malign Portents area. You might see one that's in the founding of the city or after or Soul Wars. And we'll be playing a bunch of battle reports, trying to build up these stories throughout the narrative. As we've got some key plot points down. So yeah, you will see more and more. And as the channel gets more and more, we can start exploring other realms. Like we can get alternate table layouts and stuff for the channel. So a lot of stuff you'll see at the start will be Realm of Life based or Realm of Beast, because we can sort of color the same sort of thing. But that is something that you will see happen very, very soon. Like we're I believe the first one we've got that I've started working on the narrative for is you'll be having some Gloomspite Gits versus Zinch Cult just before the Realm Gate Wars, and it'll actually be the Stormcast coming to save Gloomspite Gits. Because if you remember from those initial things, back when you had like the Reign of Sigma and stuff like that, Destruction Order and Death Armies could actually summon Stormcast in some of the Realm Gate War books rules. So that is definitely something we will be working on, I assure you that. So if that sounds like something you want to see happen, just keep an eye out. We will definitely be working on something soon. You can see, you might be able to see, that's a whole Zinch army painted up there. And there's a glimpse of my Gitz army over on the other side of the room. I've got a Stormcast army here. So once this is done, we're pretty much ready to get recording that sort of stuff. So I just got to paint up maybe a few daemons here and there. So I've got a little bit of summoning to play around with Zinch. Doesn't need to be anything major because we're not aiming to make anything too broken. We'll be building up custom rules, so my Storm host will have its own set of rules. Like we'll build up our own allegiances, we'll build up our own named characters using Anvil of Apotheosis, making some models and stuff like that. And as the characters progress through the narrative, they'll start getting their own rules. Points will be loosely used, we'll go with that, but also be providing on... in some way, we'll be like enabling people to use the characters I've read about in our narrative in their own games and play in our own like realmscapes and all that sort of stuff. So we'll be putting all those rules up eventually on the Patreon because that works really well for that sort of thing. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff that narrative-wise that we're really hoping to get forward into doing soon. I think there's a lot of things that go saying they do narrative back reps, and there's a lot that I guess aren't what I think of when I think of a narrative back rep. So there's my own way that I want to do things, I guess. Alright, and that is the Frigo Guard done. So now we can start working on these 7 Gryph-hounds here. Okay, now we're just going to start working on the feathers. I got my main color down for my Griffhounds, or at least these ones already. Done a batch in like the generic sort of Griffhound color scheme already, and now we're going to go for like a different sort of scheme on this next batch. We'll have a different color scheme for the last 3. Well, Kyle, you know how you fixed Nighthaunt coming on the channel more, right? Although, that being said, I do have a giant pile of Nighthaunt that needs to be built. Mortal Realms is amazing for that. Do I think Malarian will get his own army? Yes, without a doubt, Malarian will get his own army. It's just a matter of time. It'll come out when it comes out. They're holding some things back to make sure that they've always got something up their sleeve. Slowly getting all these Griffhounds done. Finish these 3, we'll get the next 3, and then it's just my Canite Shadow Stalkers, which I've got over there drying. I've just sprayed them off after rebasing them, or putting some basing material on them. And then that will be that. I've got my 3 characters there to do as well, Stormcast characters, but they will go together pretty quickly. 2 Castellans and a Veritants. Yeah, it's got the schemes for the different covens. Let's go. Let me have a look. See. Pretty sure this contains the contrast skin tone, dark skin tone, yeah, Xantho Kai, Keltnar, Crazed. Yep, it's got them all in there. All the different color schemes for all the different sub factions are in there. No worries, mate. Yeah, most of the new books have pretty decent paint guides in them. Broken Realms. We've got 3, and I don't think many stories are being answered. So I'm guessing we're going to get like we haven't even seen Godrak's story yet. I think we're going to get 5, 6 at least. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 7 or 8. And I think these books will go into 9th. I don't think 9th will be the end of them, maybe. It depends. Like, we've now at that point we've seen 2, and this is very similar to what Psychic Awakening got, where they realized they're a little bit behind and sort of pushed them out really quick and then put a new edition out of 40k. So I think if we see what's next soon, we might yeah. For me, how many we're getting depends on how much we see soon. So if we get like Checklist and Bielico within the next month, I think we've got 5 or 6. But if they really stagger them, I think we've got less. But that also depends what their plan is with AOS and a new edition. If Games Workshop is really pushed back and their releases just aren't getting out quick enough, I can see Age of Sigmar 3rd edition pushed back to next year. I think that's completely a possibility this year. If things don't get better in the UK, that we see what was rumored to be this year AOS 3, a new edition, will get pushed back till next year. If they haven't got what they need to have out before it. Yeah, and I think that's the possibility. It depends how quick these books come out. Depends whether I think we're getting the new edition. Depends how many I think we're getting. That all plays into a lot. Like, in fact, we've got 2 that are known about now. We know about 2. We know Checklist, and we know Bielico is the next one. So we know a lot about it. So I think it's an interesting thing to see. End of the day, it's all good to me. The more Broken Realms books, the better. I love the lore. I don't know whether Soulblight will get their own book. Maybe. Maybe we get Broken Realms Nagash or Broken Realms Manfred or something like that. Don't know if we'll see a death one. Maybe Broken Realms Catacross, or Broken Realms Linda. I think we're definitely going to get a Broken Realms Godrak at some point. Just all those short stories, he is front and center. I think this Saturday night we'll see a lot more, and we'll have a lot more shown to us. We'll have a lot clearer picture of where we're going to go. yeah, if you're just joining us, everyone, say hi, let us know where you're watching from and what you're hobbying on tonight. Now we're just going a bit of Thunderhawk blue on the legs. Just at the bottom of their feet, just to give them. What do people reckon for the Broken Realms book after Be'lakor? What do we reckon we're going to get? From Texas. And Texas is one of those places I would love to go in the US when Brian Young, thank you very much, mate. US as well. Texas is one of those places, like a chef, I love the idea of like the chili cook-offs and all like the deep south, and like southern sort of meat and barbecuing and food. Boston, nice. For those who don't know, I'm from Adelaide, Australia. So I'm South Australia. Yeah. Australia, we're really renowned for lamb, and South Australia is the best lamb in the country. We're also really renowned for wine, but I don't drink, so that's out of the question for me. But yeah, South Australia is about as, I mean, we're the only real state with our own real cuisine, I guess, and it's horrible. A dish that is uniquely South Australian, but it is goddamn hot. Go look up what a pie floater is. It is disgusting. I do not like them. Red Scope? Yeah, exactly, man. Drinking means less money for models. Exactly. It also means when I'm at a tournament, I am by far less likely to be hindered by inebriation if I don't drink. Doesn't mean I'm any better and I'll do any better, but in fact, it's generally worse because if I lose to a drunk person, I never hear the end of it. Nice. Europe and America, we've really got everyone from everywhere here, I think. It's like one of the most interesting things in the hobby is seeing where everyone is from. Just realizing how far it goes around the world. You want to look what a pie floater is? Yeah. So for those who didn't go and look up what a pie floater is, it is just a meat pie that you would get from any regular sporting venue. It's weird because I know Americans have like hot dogs and stuff as like your food that you get at sports games, while Australia we have like pies and pasties, like pastries, like a pie, meat pie and a sausage roll and a pasty and stuff like that is what we have at like sporting venues. But bakeries generally do pie floaters for like sit down bakeries. And yeah, they are gross. It is a pie. It's floating in a bowl of mushy pea soup. Really popular with like the older generations. Have sort of died out with younger generations. Only other thing I could say is like uniquely South Australian about food is frog cakes, which is just cakes shaped like frogs. They look cool, but yeah, there's nothing really that special. There's a lot more to it than like that. I will say like our average wage is way higher. way higher than most countries in the world. Right, just to put into perspective, our minimum wage is like $21. So we pay a lot more. Like, yeah, it still works out to be more and more expensive, but yeah, there's a lot more to it than just. It's not as bad as everyone says. Sometimes it is. And Judas, it just is. It's not nice at all. Frog cakes, on the other hand, yeah, it's like what I mean. Like, Aussies complain about GW prices, but a fair chunk of us, well, anyone who works in Australia, yeah, like the minimum wage is massive. Anyway, get off that sort of subject. We'll stick to more Warhammer stuff because I am not well versed enough in any of that to talk in any more length than what I know as my basics. But yeah, anyway, thank you everyone for joining tonight. Like, it's cool to see the channel growing, and it's cool to see new faces pop up in this that I don't recognize, and that I'm like seeing for the first time, or I've probably seen them before and I've just forgot. I've not seen them enough for it to be retained in my terrible, terrible memory. But yeah, so anyone watching, what's been something you've been enjoying on the channel? So I can get, like, these are always good times for me to just talk to you guys about what you've been enjoying on the channel. I've asked what people want to see more of, but what are you enjoying that's currently on the channel? What's brought you to the channel? Just need to try not to pull everything down in the book that I need my color scheme from. Purple Angel, thank you very much. Pie float is an interesting one. You're either gonna like people either love them or they hate them. So it depends. I found generally English friends I know like them a lot more, like the idea of them a lot more than American friends who think they generally look disgusting. Oh, nice, Brian. That's awesome, man. Battle Force box video. Yeah, see, I'm a Vegemite lover. I like a bit of toast with my Vegemite. I'm like, I'll eat Vegemite off a spoon. I love it. Probably goes down like snack wise. I like really salty snacks too, so I'm much more of like buying a bag of chips person than a block of chocolate. So Vegemite being like so salty is just something I like. Guess that's where that sort of goes with that one for me. Although there's nothing better. Like if you have Vegemite and you're not the biggest fan of it, try Vegemite and cheese. Like Vegemite and melted cheese in like a toasty or a sandwich is amazing. Yeah, England has like some alternatives like Marmite and Promite. I believe Marmite is the English version. I mean, I've never had Gator. I've had Croc. Croc's not a bad thing. I would assume Gator is pretty similar to Croc. It's like a white, fleshy, sort of almost chickeny sort of meat. Croc's not generally sold though much anymore because it became like good old crocodile hunter Steve Irwin fought against it becoming a commercialized thing. Yeah. Tell you what I do like. I do like Roo. Kangaroo is really nice. Australia is the only country in the world that eats both its all of its national emblems. So the kangaroo, emu, and both eaten in Australia. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense when you start applying. It's just not what you think of when you eat croc. You know, it's a big animal. You don't expect it to taste like a bird. But we obviously know stuff that of why that is. Because everything in Australia is trying to kill you, so you might as well eat it. I like that analogy. Australia is an interesting one because like crocs are really rare. For me, I live in South Australia. Crocs just don't exist here. They're not in my state. They generally live up north where it's much more tropical. So you have like Queensland, Northern Territory, and like far north WA. Because WA takes up like the whole western side, so it is like level with Queensland and Northern Territory as well. So like the north of Australia is where crocs are. Queensland generally has the most issues with them, mostly because WA is just really the areas of WA and Northern Territory are rather, I guess, not as populated, while far north Queensland is actually rather populated. So most of your croc stuff exists there. Other interesting things for I guess animals in Australia is we're the only city in the world that has sharks within its borders of the actual city. So Brisbane has the Brisbane River that runs through it, runs through the city, and that river has sharks in it called bull sharks, which are the most vicious shark on the planet. You cannot go swimming in the Brisbane River because there are sharks that will attack you and that are big. They're a good meter to 2.5 meters long. And are hyper territorial. Because you build a... yeah. So yeah, they exist in the middle of a city. I guess the worst thing about Australia though is you can I always have this conversation with American friends. Yep, pretty much, Judas. You've nailed it there, man. So I've had this conversation with American and friends from other countries and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, Australian, we don't have that many big dangerous animals in Australia." And thank you, Jacob. But yeah, we don't have that many big dangerous animals in Australia. We generally have our two biggest predators are water based, and then our biggest land predator is a giant lizard called a goanna. The thing with Australia that makes it deadly is the most dangerous things you don't see, like box jellyfish or blue ringed octopus, which are an octopus about the size of a 50-cent piece in Australia. Like an octopus no bigger than that will kill you in a couple of minutes. And the state I'm in, actually, is where they're from. There's a river that goes through, and yeah, they live in that river. It goes through the Port Adelaide. We have like snakes and all that. You know, the whole thing of like top 10 deadliest snakes in the world. Australia has 8 of them. In the top 5, we have 4 of them, and we have one. We have number 1. And like spiders, we've got some of the most deadly ones in the world. We've got bird-eating spiders. We also have magpies, who are just utter butthead of birds that swoop you and take out people's eyes and are like nasty, nasty things. An Australian magpie is just completely different to anything. They are vicious birds. Most people in Australia are dead scared of them. Yeah, like so the past couple of years in South Australia, we've managed to tag him, but we've had a 7.8 meter great white shark off the coast of South Australia that's come back for the last 3 years. And he's gotten bigger every year. The first year we saw him, he was a 6 meter great white, and now he's a 7.8 meter great white, they estimate. To put that into perspective, the movie Jaws, the Jaws shark is only 5 meters. But yes, thank you very much, Jacob. Glad you're enjoying everything, man, on the channel. Yeah, like it is like, I mean, great whites technically are a megalodon. They're like they're the oldest breed of shark in the world. They haven't evolved. There's no creature on Earth that has evolved like they're the oldest existing creature on Earth. Bar one type of fish, which is found off the coast of South America, the coelacanth. Great whites suggest, they haven't needed to evolve in so long because they're that good at what they do. Not just deadly, Australia has weird things like the platypus. If anyone's never heard of a platypus, go look up what a platypus is. It's called a monotreme, of which there are only 2 types, 2 in existence in the world. The other one, also found in Australia, is called an echidna, which is like a little, I guess, porcupine anteater hybrid. Yeah, see, like gators and bears, like gators aren't known too much for attacking people unless people are stupid. Like the difference between a gator and a croc is gators generally are fish eaters, while crocs actually are meat, like big game eaters. Crocs will hang out crocs generally wait for things to come near their pond and then come up and get them, while a gator eats things in its pond. Yeah, it's Knuckles. Knuckles is an echidna. He looks nothing like an echidna, though. But a platypus, anyway, is the other type of monotreme, and it has a duck bill, a beaver's body, webbed feet, and the males are poisonous. And it lays eggs. All right, I'm just going to check for another part of my scheme, because I like just copying straight out of the book. Helps with the fact that I'm colorblind. No oil and rust green. Yeah. Yeah. You want to see something weird with an animal, Brian? Go look up that sort of thing with hyenas. Yeah. That's all I'll say. You'll never be able to play D&D with gnolls again. Don't say I didn't warn you about looking up what hyenas. Yeah. Me and my... So generally, I believe the depictions of like Charybdis and Ancient thing is that the mouth actually rolls back in, so its mouth sort of goes like that, and then its jaw still locks. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The underbite lip just folds in. Yeah, it's the opposite. So yeah, Charybdis is actually like an ancient Greek beast as well, spelt differently in ancient Greek stuff. But yeah, you got the story of being torn between Scylla and Charybdis. Yeah, it's a really cool like beast that they pulled out of like ancient mythology that is just not one seen very often. I really like the fact that like they went that direction with it. Yep. And even a band I like called Trivium have a song about that very thing, literally called "Torn Between Scylla and Charybdis," or Charybdis as it's pronounced. Yeah, you can see there's two of my Charybdis there, and then my 6 Hydras over there, and there's still more I haven't painted up. Those 6 Hydras there is every iteration of Hydra ever produced by Games Workshop there. The original metal one, the then next metal one, there's also that metal one turned into the Finecast model, and then there's the brand new plastic one as well. Yeah, it's sort of, yeah. They've taken, Games Workshop have taken that idea between Scylla and Charybdis and sort of muted it to their own needs. It's quite clear that's where the inspiration comes from, because Elven Greeks and elves went back to back those days. But yeah, it's all a bit like muddled up and stuff. Games Workshop has made it their own, but that is definitely where they drew the inspiration from. And yeah. Yeah, and so literally what Games Workshop did is grab the two parts of the myth that you're torn between the two parts and smack them together, and that's what you get. Because it is literally both parts. It is a multi-headed thing that lives in the bottom of the ocean. It's both of it. Both parts. Couldn't guess that I'm a Chelsea fan, could you? Sure am. My godfather used to play for Chelsea. I am as blue-blooded as it gets. Oh dear. Well, yeah, no. Godfather used to play for Chelsea way back when. Just after the wars. It's always fun being like a Chelsea fan because people always assume you're a bandwagon jumper, especially when you're like my age and a Chelsea fan, because really, Chelsea have only been good while I've been alive. To put it mildly, like when I started getting into soccer, it was like 2000 when Chelsea were hitting that point and Abramovich was about to take over. So it's always an interesting thing when like people challenge my faith in Chelsea. You can just go, I'm not the person to challenge. I've probably got more reason to support my club than anyone. I don't know what to think of Tuchel yet. I liked him at PSG, but I don't know. I mean, you can't argue the dude's got results. Like Athletic victory and the Tottenham victory were decent results. I mean, he hasn't lost in 8 games in charge. Like, okay, the opposition's not been the greatest, but he hasn't lost in 8 games in charge. Like, you can't fault that. He has been perfect, almost. I mean, 2 draws and 6 wins. And one of those draws was a game he only had 12 hours to prep for. Sorry for the boring football talk for anyone American on here, but you can deal with it. By football, I mean soccer. Favorite faction, Brian, in AOS to play? Cities of Sigmar, man. I love my Cities of Sigmar, in particular, Scourge Privateers. I just love the options that Cities gives you. You can play with so many things. You can play literally any way you want. There is no playstyle that Cities can't do. that's why I like him. Yeah, like going away to Athletic, coach is and getting a result. Once again, the French King comes up with the goods. Here's a question for you. As an Arsenal fan, how does it feel to know you guys let Giroud go? Like, as a Chelsea fan, when it broke that Chelsea was signing Giroud, I was just like, wait, what? How are we getting Giroud? Like, he's such a good forward. Like, he's just consistent. He's a guy you can rely on every game. He'll happily sit there for 3 games and not play, and then get his shot, and he'll get a goal every time. He's got 8 from his last 8. And that doesn't include the 4-goal haul he had against Sevilla, because that is 10 games ago for him. On the other hand, like, Arsenal's becoming Chelsea's dumping ground of late. I mean, you took Petr Cech. That was decent. You needed him at that point, and he's probably really helped like keepers like Leno really come through. So he actually probably helped. But like Louise and Willian, like I don't think Willian's done anything of note for Arsenal. Just find it kind of nuts how, I think that's how like AOS has gone. It's just been that sort of thing where the mixed race is what it is. They're going much more for that D&D style city where everyone lives together and works together. I mean, there's still conflict between the races in the city, and that's what makes Cities of Sigmar interesting, I think, is that inner conflict between the races. I mean, Giroud won a golden boot with Arsenal in one season. What did he do? He netted 23 goals for you in one season. But yeah, I think he obviously, especially in like the counter-attacking Chelsea teams, like when you had him playing with Hazard and stuff like that, that was amazing. That season under Sarri, like him, Hazard, and Willian, and like Pedro all flicking off Giroud was really, really good. Arsenal are in an interesting spot at the moment. I don't know if they've improved since Emery left. I mean, and Emery's gone and done some really good things too. At Athletic. So I don't know on that one whether our thingy was better. And Jerome, did I see the Rat King Vampire? Yes, I did. He looks awesome. I like it. Brian, is it tough to get into cities? No, they do have 2-star collecting boxes, of which I think both are pretty decent. Although the one thing I would suggest is that one that says Star Collecting Greywater Fastness should read Star Collecting Tempest Eye instead, and not Greywater Fastness. The Anvil Guard one's really cool. I mean, of course, I'm going to say that, but it does set you up for a good army. An easy one to build up. Yeah. No. Yeah, what did other people think of Mr. Ratman Vampire? We've obviously seen a little bit of him. I think he looks pretty sweet. Yeah, that's fair. So generally, I think the best thing the Charybdis brings to the faction is when you're playing Anvil Guard, you take him with Felgaze and you make him a -3 aura for bravery. Now, I know a lot of people will say that bravery doesn't matter in Age of Sigmar. However, -3 is that point where someone has to start worrying because you're not necessarily playing for him to do anything, but it's forcing your opponent to have to put characters around units near where that Charybdis is, which you can then use the Charybdis to pull your opponent's characters out of range. Because if your opponent has to start taking battle shock tests near that Charybdis, -3, you're only having to kill generally like 4 or 5 models, which is easy to do to make battle shock a thing that they care about. So which means they have to start pulling characters near him. Like he's a cool little threat piece. And like when he gets all like, and in a turn, if he can get all the buffs off on him, he's decent. He'll never be like a massive thing. But I've used him like I've had times where late game I've needed my Charybdis to make a charge, lashed him with the whips, made him charge, and gave him the buffs for the extra attacks and gave him some rerolls and stuff like that. And he went in and minced a unit on an objective and scored the objective late game. I think like the little weird aspect to him is just because he's probably a model for Warhammer Quest. Like all those models are generally quite interesting looking. So I don't think that's going to be anything to do with the actual aesthetic for vampires. And Jerome, I think that will still happen, man. I think the army is going to be like able to be played as Legion of Nagash, but I don't think Soulbart's going to be its own allegiance anymore. I think it's going to be just an option you can do. Like if a vampire is your general, you can take Blood Knights as battle line or these vampiric units as battle line, etc. I think that'll be how it goes. So I think that's how we'll do it, how it'll happen. But who knows? We may find out more about that in the coming weekend. Yeah, I think it'll be cool to see like what Soulblight actually does. Like, I really like that White King, and I'm tempted by Soulblight Gravelords a lot. I mean, I'm tempted by every army. Everyone knows that by now. Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't have most of those old vampires. Death was never sort of my thing in, I guess, Warhammer Fantasy. I was very much an elf player. Wood elves, funnily, predominantly, and also Skaven were my two fantasy armies, so they're what I've brought over. Which will be fun going back to my Wanderers. For the Living City army that people voted for me to be doing next. Going to be doing a Winter Scheme Living City army because it's going to match with my Lumineth army. And then I'm going to do some Winterleaf Sylvaneth. Because I've been designing a City of Sigmar. I did a video like designing your own City of Sigmar, which got one. Built me a city in the Realm of Life, so I want to be using some 1 in 4 rules for my Lumineth Realm Lords when I play some narrative games with it. Nice, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I've played Anvilgard and what, like the Scourge Privateer stuff. I played them before Cities of Sigmar existed. Obviously, like that Felgate's trick didn't exist then, and Charybdis were just bad before. Like they've actually got a use now. There's ways you can play them. But at the end of the day, I really like the models, so I'm going to use them on a tabletop. That's how that goes for me. That's fair. Like, Lumineth Realm Lords are not for everyone. Anyway, it's getting rather late here, and I've got to be up nice and early to watch my babies tomorrow. But thanks everyone for coming. We're going to leave it here for tonight. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. We'll have the Work in Progress Wednesday hobby hangout tomorrow night. And yeah, we'll be catching you all real soon. So we'll be then. Friday night hobby hangout may happen. If not, there will definitely be the there might not be a Friday night hobby hangout, but there will definitely be the hobby hangout for the reveal stream. And then depending on things, we'll probably have Sunday as well. Depends how we go on Saturday, how buggered I am after working all weekend. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like on the video, comment, all that sort of stuff. They all help people find the channel and all that sort of stuff. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for helping us hit 3,000 subscribers. It's been amazing. On to 4,000. And as particular people in the Discord keep bugging me, maybe we can reach 10K by the end of the year. Who knows? Also, If you haven't already, come join in Discord. There's a link to the Discord server in the description of the video. And lastly, thank you to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. You can find links to those if you want to help out, blah, 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 in the description. But yeah, come jump on the Discord and come chat on Discord. There's a link to that in the description of the video. Ciao for now, everyone. Catch you all later. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grave.